Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Beyond the School Run video vlog. Today I am here with an old friend of mine to talk about PR and getting messages out there in a really authentic but also really effective way. Gabby Riley and I used to run PR agencies together, and we shared an office space, and she now runs a great website called Relevant Now, which supports people in handling, she will explain more, handling their own public relations and PR and sharing their messages. So hi Gabby,
Hello,
it's nice to see you.
Louise.
We're back in the place we both had our agencies in. So I really wanted to find out from you, Gabby, is anyone that's watching here, there'll be a lot of people who have businesses, who have services, either coaches or have businesses they're growing, that they want to be able to share, whether that's B2B or to consumers, need to share their messages. And I often think it's very important for people's voices to come through, and PR is a really important place to share and find the information that you need to find. So can I just ask you, initially, what are your kind of tips on, if there is someone watching here and they're going, I haven't thought about PR, but how do I do it? How I want to get more customers, I want more awareness. What are your initial tips and suggestions, please?
I would say that the first thing really is just not to be afraid. That it doesn't matter if you've had no experience in this. If you don't get your story out there to the press, there's no chance that they'll know about it or be able to write about it. So if you are going to embark on PR, I would say it's always really important to think about your target audience.
Yeah.
Who are the people that will be interested in it, and by that I mean the actual public, the end user, the ones that might buy or use the service. But then before that, the media. Who is it? Which publications are those people reading? Which websites do they look at? Which Twitter accounts do they look at? All of those kind of things.
Yeah.
Who are the ones that you could target? And from that, you'll begin to get a kind of an idea of mailing lists, databases.
And the great thing I think with your website, which we can, I'll leave a link below about Relevant Now, and is when you are doing your own publicity, is actually having access to contacts. I think is really two things. I think probably people will probably find the biggest barrier is how do you start writing your own material to share it, and also how do you get access to the contacts to send it to. So on the first point on writing your own material, I think we're just talking about this offline, is what would be your suggestions? We've obviously written a lot of press releases at a time, but this doesn't need to be that someone needs to be experienced in this.
No,
we don't believe. What would your thoughts on that?
Again, I mean, I think the most important thing, every time you write to the press, whether they're a blogger or whether they run have a big column in a national newspaper, you need to give them the what, why, where and when. Those are basically the fundamental things that the journalists will be interested in. You can either write a press release, again, which really is normally in the third person, and it does just talk about what your event is or what your product is, and also stockist details, things like that. Or if you don't feel comfortable doing that, just write an email and just make it personal. Hi, I'm writing to you from such and such. We're doing this on this day at this place, and this is what it's about.
And I think the key is to share, isn't it? To remember you're really sharing. If you're not doing your service if you're not sharing what you're doing.
I think that's
and
right.
It's a great way.
But also don't ham it up. You know, the journalists, it's their job to write favourably about you. So, you know, my tip would be don't say this is the best thing that's ever happened or this is, you know, a hidden gem.
Be real.
We always used to have. Be real and allow them, just give them the facts, and they'll then give you the endorsement if they think this is the best thing that's ever happened. And that will be much more valuable than having a journalist dismiss you because they think you're being a bit overzealous and a bit overexcited about what it is you're doing.
I think, again, authenticity, sharing is just so important. So when you get to that point where you are ready to do that, I know one of the big things for me, no longer having access to the kind of contacts and things, how do you know, what if someone was looking at your web, what are the kind of next steps in terms of sending this information out?
So again, I mean, there's all different types of things you can do. You could literally just go to WH Smith in a big station, pull down a range of publications that you think might be interesting. Most of those publications at the front have the page of contacts, so they show who it is who's writing on beauty, who's writing on fashion, who's writing on women's issues, those sorts of things. And very often they'll give the name. And if you just literally input into Google email address for Red Magazine or Marie Claire, it will come up. It will tell you who the publisher is. It will come up, and you can begin to build a database like that. I have found LinkedIn, again, invaluable. If you want to find out who an editor or the beauty editor is, you can just type it in, beauty editor, of Sunday Times magazine, and very often you get the name again, and then you go back to your Google, and you can find out the email format for those publications. I'm obviously talking email. That's just something I'm a bit more comfortable with in the first instance, but then again, once you know the publications, you can quite easily find the phone numbers for those publications, and then you just phone and ask to speak to that person. Just be a little bit mindful of their deadlines, and don't take it personally if they can't speak to you. It doesn't mean they don't like you. What they'll probably do is say, can you send me an email? So I would say before you phone, make sure you've got the information ready to go, so that when they say that, you can send something quite quickly and just say, following our conversation.
Yeah, I think it's just so valuable. So really what we're kind of saying, Gabby, is a few top tips is really go and share your message. If you've got something, you're creating a new platform, some new training, you're developing your business, whatever you're doing, share it in an authentic way. Do not be held back by not having written a press release before. Just write from your heart, and then go and find the right contacts. And Gabby does run a website called Relevant Now, and on there is a platform that shares kind of media lists and things.
The whole site has been designed for people who want to do PR but don't know how to, and you just answer a few simple questions, and the site will create a tailor-made media list for you in whatever sector it is you're doing. You then answer a couple more simple questions, and it can write a press release for you if that's what you want to do. You can then edit your story, you get to see which publications we're suggesting, you can amend them, and then it gets sent out on your behalf, and if journalists are interested, they come back directly to you.
I've used it before, it was great. I'm going to use it again.
Thank you
when the book comes out.
Good.
And the website URL is relevantnow.com. Thank you, Gabby. Thanks for those tips. And I look forward to connecting with you next week.
Thanks
you.
Gabby.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.